This is the Bitcoin 1 month overview reading for the month of August 2023. It's currently June 9th, 2023, 10:56 p.m. Eastern Time. Bitcoin at the time of this reading is currently $26,384.14. That's USD. And the shuffle file for the Bitcoin reading was created on May 21st, 2023 at 10:14 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this video right here. So the overall theme and behavior for Bitcoin in the month of August, we're looking at a significantly bullish month. We pushed the upper end of a range higher here, and that's on a multi-day scale, probably a year-to-date scale. It's crossed, however, with multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance, so we want to be mindful it's not like a straight up behavior around the highest high. We have an important resistance level around the high. It looks like probably volume will flatten out. Volume or volatility will flatten out around the high, and the behavior around the lowest low, there'll be a near overbought crest that we sell off from down through multiple support levels into the lowest low. So I'll be looking for that type of chart criteria combined with the lowest price level in August. Those are the things I'll be looking for when I'm looking to determine if I've met the lowest low thus far. That's how you look at the information in real time, how you utilize it. Let's take a look at the 1 year and see how we're doing thus far. Push the upper end of a range higher here and out of the low in January. February, a couple false tops here, prudence card, and then that decline that increases with momentum moving into March. March, we have a trough there, an important trough, and that's also where I identified it probably would be a lowest low or a very significant low. Looks like it's probably going to be a significant low because we moved so high out of this early part of the chart. It's looking pretty solid though. We have a failed attempt to break through key resistance in April, followed by a decline through key support, 3 pokes through the same price level, followed by a sharp decline. And then it looks like in June, we have a decline that offers opportunity to open up a long position. This is pretty solid, guys. This is looking like a good reading thus far. With that said, for August, there's going to be a rally that takes us into a sharp drop. I'm advised not to chase that rally in early August. It'll be at a resistance level that's key on a 1 year chart and a lot of price change to meet it. There's going to be a sharp drop, and then at the low, reversal that'll take us back significantly to the upside. So a high, low, high kind of behavior in August. It's possible that we have a highest high. Well, I wouldn't say a highest high, but it's possible that we have. Matter of fact, it's not going to be a highest high, but it'll seem like the highest high until towards the end of the month. That high is probably going to be, it might be on the 5th, might be on the 8th, towards the end of the day on the 8th, probably, but I say it might be on the 5th because sometimes the Ace of Wands is a pretty toppy card in a lot of cases. On the 1st, we have a rally along a diagonal trend line that ends with a fast sudden move higher, and then a breakdown through that diagonal trend line with increasing volatility on the way down. That decline with increasing volatility takes us into a trough, or there's a little bit of a rally on the 2nd, followed by another decline into the trough. So one of the two, either the decline starts on the 1st and continues into the 2nd, or there's a little bit of a bump to the upside again early on the 2nd, followed by a decline. And there'll be a prominent trough there on the 2nd that'll stand out on a 1 month chart. It won't be a lowest low, but it'll stand out as a trough. There's a trade opportunity on the 1st and a day trade opportunity on the 3rd. We'll talk about the chart patterns to look for entry and exit and the timing of those in the paid version at the end of this video. If you're interested in supporting the channel, guys, the paid version is really a great way. It's a monthly subscription, and it's really the best way to support the channel, that and the Roll of Karma. But here you go. You can subscribe to any one of these tickers or crypto. If you're interested in multiple, you can also subscribe for the all paid. What that does is at the end of each video, there's between roughly 3 to 8 minutes of content about what trades and what to look for, what to do, what not to do kind of behavior. Very lucrative if you're looking to trade. Remember, we're not all the time right, so make sure that you trade responsibly, my friends. So on the 3rd, we have a cash out opportunity and a significant profit opportunity here on the 3rd in the midst of a day trade, and there's probably some sideways rotation. Also on the 1st, that we may push the upper end of a range higher on a multi-day kind of scale there. On the 3rd, we probably have failed attempts to break through key resistance here. On the 4th, we have a notable move to the upside, and we may very well have a really significant, this may be the highest price level until we get to the highs over here on the 24th, 25th, and maybe the highest price level here on the 5th until then. If not here, then here on the 8th, and then those aren't highest highs, but they'll be like the highest high until the highest highs, if that makes sense. It's really a toppy card, the Ace of Wands, so day trade opportunity in there as well, and it looks like a trough at the end of the day. We have sideways rotation on the 6th and a trade opportunity there. That sideways rotation ends with a fast sudden move higher. And then on the 7th, we have more sideways rotation. It looks like we've gapped down on the 7th, and that's like the sharp drop within a period of sideways rotation. On the 8th, we have a decline off of what may be like I said, the highest high until the highest high of the month here on the 8th, and there'll be a decline off of that high, that prominent crest there. It'll be a decline that offers trade opportunity, and we'll talk about it in the paid version. There's also likely a pushing of the upper end of a range here on a multi-day scale, either here on the 8th or maybe on the 9th. But it looks like we have a crest at the end of the day, and then probably a gap down overnight. A trough at the end of the day on the 9th after meeting a resistance level that we met many times before. It looks like this is another correlation here in yellow to the multiple failed attempts to break through key resistance on a multi-day kind of scale. On the 10th, however, we have more opportunity of pushing the upper end of a range higher. That peak or crest that forms, however, there's a notable sell-off from there into what may be a lowest low here on the cusp of the 10th, 11th. There's more decline on the 11th, so it may go lower into the 11th, but I think it's either the 10th or the 11th is where we see that lowest low. There's also a possibility that this is it, based on how bullish this chart is. I'm just going to put this here, but it's a lot less likely that the second is a lowest low. It just occurred to me. It could be because this is so bullish. The Aeon card is the most bullish card in the deck, but my sense is that it's probably here. There'll be a prominent trough there. On the 12th, we decline to and through support. We do some sideways rotation along a second support, and then we have a notable reversal on the 13th that'll stand out on a multi-day. On the 14th, we have a support level that's highlighted that can be relied upon, and then we have a lot of price change on the 15th. An important technical price level is met, and in the case of this not being a high, I'd say that this is a multi-day swing trade. This may be a good mean point. This resistance level here that we meet on the 15th might be a good mean point between like a short position and a long position if you wanted to pull something like that. There's going to be a lot of price change there, so you could probably put on a short position and a long position at separate times and really be happy about it. And then there's a prominent trough there as well. I don't think it'll be lower than the lowest low that we see here on the 10th, 11th, but it'll be a prominent trough. On the 16th, we have a fast sudden move higher. We may push the upper end of a range higher there on the 16th, moving into the 17th, where we have a correlation to a prominent crest or peak there, and we also have a correlation in orange to pushing the upper end of a range higher. So we probably 16th into the 17th push the upper end of a range higher, and then off of that there's a pretty notable decline on a multi-day kind of scale that increases with momentum moving forward in time. On the 18th, we have a sideways S decline that forms within a channel. So we decline from a resistance level down to support. We do a reversal, go all the way back to resistance, do another reversal, and retrace all the way back to support, creating a sideways S within a channel. Sometimes it's on an angle, sometimes it's horizontal support and resistance. On the 19th, we have another correlation to failed attempts to break through key resistance, and there's a decline through multiple support levels, taking us to, looks like a pretty significant failure. It'll stand out there into a trough on the 20th early in the day, and there's a period of volatility with a sharp drop that'll stand out in that period of volatility there on the 20th. Might be a little bit of a peak at the end of the day, offering trade opportunity if so. And then on the 21st, we have bumping along resistance, maybe breaking through, but for the majority of it, we'll be bumping along resistance. There's a trough at the end of the day there. On the 22nd, we have price swings. There's probably a trough at the end of the day, followed by a big move to the upside into a peak or crest there at the end of the day. So a lot of price change towards the end of the day. Price swings on the 22nd, possibly a peak or crest at the end of the day, but a little less likely than the preceding day. On the 23rd, we have a prominent move higher, followed by a full retracement of that move back down. On the 25th, a decline that offers an opportunity to trade. I'll talk about that in the paid version. There is correlation there to pushing the upper end of a range higher, so probably we go from a decline into a move to the upside, taking us into a highest high there on the 25th. That's probably why we have a double kind of crest, two stars next to each other. We go from a prominent crest into a notable decline, which offers opportunity, followed by a higher price level. We push the upper end of a range higher, and that's most likely where we have our highest high for the month there on the 25th, in the midst of 3 pokes through the same price level, followed by a sharp drop off of that third poke. On the 26th, we attempt to establish support. 27th, we decline to revisit a support level that we recently met before, probably the support that we saw in the midst of that decline on the 24th, and that's probably the similar support there that we see on the 27th. But we have a peak or crest at the end of the day and a trade opportunity there on the 27th. On the 28th, we go lower in the morning on the 28th, and then there's 3 crisscrosses back and forth through the same price level, confirming a bullish trend into a peak or crest at the end of the day. There may be a sharp drop there, or a lot of price to the downside, price change to the downside there on the cusp of the 28th, 29th. But on the 29th, we have another prominent move higher, and we successfully turn resistance on a multi-day scale into new support. On the 30th, We also have possibility here of a highest high. The abundance card in a lot of cases can often indicate a highest high. It has to, you know, the cards have to speak to it being the case. It's not always that case, but in the way the cards are kind of playing out here, it is probably the same price level. It could be higher, but I think it's probably the same price level as we had on the 25th. And then on the 31st, we have a rally along a diagonal trend line breaking through horizontal resistance to meet a second resistance before pulling back to somewhere between those two price levels. And in September, the sneak preview, we have a decline that ends with a fast sudden move higher. There's a prominent trough, at least one prominent trough on a multi-day that'll stand out there. And that's Bitcoin for August 2023. My friends, make sure to follow that rule of karma. If you plan to continue profiting from this information, the universe will not screw around with this, guys. This is negative energy being transmuted to goodwill. That's what we're doing by following the rule of karma, and the universe takes that very seriously. So please be sure to follow the rule of karma. Every time you make that money from this information, make sure that you go to the resources tab, donate 5% of that profit made from this information to one of these charities guaranteeing abundance mentality. Donate 5% of the profits back to the channel. Much appreciation goes out to all of you angel investors out there following the rule of karma for the channel. It goes a long way, my friends. And make sure that you spend that money out of love, that 90% left over out of love. As long as you do all that, my friends, the universe is going to send it back to you tenfold through this channel, my friends. Stay tuned if you got the paid version. I'll see you guys on the next one.